Hello, and welcome to Broads and Books. I'm Amy.
And I'm Erin, and this is a very special bonus episode. Books for every occasion.
Erin, we haven't done one of these in a while.
No.
Where it's just a bonus with us just telling stories and maybe bringing some books in, too.
Yes.
So this is exciting.
It is exciting.
And also, by the way, books for every occasion. This is not to be confused with like appetizers for every occasion. It's not that.
No.
Or it's not dresses for every occasion.
No.
A day-to-night dress.
No.
It's not one of those.
No.
This is a legit set of occasions that would be greatly helped with an appropriate book or two.
Yes. If there's one arena that you and I can excel at and be labeled as always prepared, it's book recommendations.
I will say, however, someone asked me what I'm reading and my mind goes blank.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. If you put me on the spot, you're getting nothing good.
I also like that when we talk to authors, the same things happen
Yes,
to them.
it
And they're
makes
just
me-
like, oh, God, I don't remember anything I've ever read ever.
It makes me feel so validated.
It's so validated.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't just happen to us.
No, it doesn't.
So get this. For this bonus episode, we came up with a list of situations or moods that you might be facing this summer, this hot, humid, heat dome summer.
Heat dome.
We dug through
Yes.
our past catalog of picks and knowledge to help guide your reading, as we do.
As we do. And I'm pumped because I just like it when we're set up for success.
I love when we make success easy.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
Achievable, ready, right in our hands.
When it's based on organization, we're going to get it every time.
Every time. All right. I'm going to start us off because
Okay.
you have the first category.
Oh, yeah, I do. Okay.
But I need to ask you before we get into this category.
Okay.
Do you consider yourself outdoorsy?
Have you met me?
Right. I feel like I knew the answer.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
then
okay.
my follow-up question is, what is the most outdoorsy thing that you have ever done?
When I was a wee lass.
I'm already in. Okay.
No, I grew up here in Des Moines, Iowa, and there is a place in Des Moines called Living History Farms.
Oh, yes.
This is a place, for those who are not familiar, where you go when there's like a working farm from the 1800s, and there was a house of the future, and in the 1980s it meant solar panels, basically. And there's, what else is there? There was like a Native American village, and
Yeah.
all these things, probably not great today. Anyway, for kids, there was a day camp. And for some reason, either I or maybe my parents thought that this would be appropriate for me, the kid who loved to read inside in the air conditioning. So it was a week-long thing where during the day, you go with a group of kids and you spend that day maybe at the working farmhouse, or you spend that day at the house of the future. House of the Future was kind of good. We made cookies on the solar panels, and we were able to eat. That's my main memory is the cookies.
The cookies.
Yeah.
Okay.
However, there was one day where, well, first off, I will say, too, the very first day of summer camp, our camp counselor passed out from a heat stroke. So that's where we're at.
Oh.
And everyone was like, oh, whoops. Okay, someone else, can you fill in? Let's take these kids out there.
No, you pull the plug.
Nope.
Man down on heat stroke is everyone's done.
In 1988, you did not pull the
Wow.
plug, or whenever this was. I don't know, late 80s
Probably,
sometime.
yeah.
There was one day where there was a hiking excursion. I don't remember where we were going, where we were coming from, but there was a creek and it was very muddy. And I remember I was not dressed appropriately. I stepped in the mud and just had a complete shutdown. And I was like, I'm dirty and I got mud on me and I don't know what to do. And I've shut it down from my memory, but I do remember just like standing there like frozen, and all the other kids and the camp counselors just leaving me and the creek to figure out myself and to calm down.
What?
And I think I've retained that lesson, that the outdoors is out to get me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That is fair.
I don't like it.
I like to think of little Amy maybe hearing Living History Farms, and you were like, history.
I think probably was, because
Yeah.
I love the idea of like, ooh, cool, there's going to be horses and there's a farm and cool.
I can learn about. No. Heat stroke. Creek.
Yeah.
All bad words.
It was
Butter
bad.
churning. Bad.
Except for cookies on solar panels.
Cookies on
That was
solar
the
panels.
redeeming.
Yeah.
I think that was the last day, and there was air conditioning in that building too. And I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, why didn't we start with the House of Tomorrow?
So anyway, my key outdoors activity now, besides mowing the grass, is sitting on the porch and day drinking.
Yes.
That's about all I can handle.
Which is why you got the category that maybe you would like to seem outdoorsy this summer without really going outdoors.
Yeah, because I like looking at nature through an air-conditioned window. Mm-hmm. So I got 2 picks, and we didn't mention that these are picks that we've talked about in previous episodes.
Yes.
So we're reminding you of books that maybe you forgot about.
Right.
From the past, from history.
From our history.
So first one is We Went to the Woods by Katie Dolan Leach. This came from episode 72 about just being left alone, damn it. And this was the one where there were 20-somethings that are trying to start their own sort of rustic commune place. And then there's tons of drama. Yes. And I think if you read this, you can be reminded that we developed air conditioning and heat for a reason, as well as living apart from other people.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I remember just reading that book and thinking I'm fascinated and disgusted
at the same time.
All at once.
Yes.
My second pick is Burn the Place by Ileana Regan.
Yes.
This was from episode 52 about women doing better than men. Mm-hmm. And this was the chef who wrote the memoir. And she has a restaurant in Chicago, and she's known for foraging and back to the land kind of food. And I think you can live vicariously as she hunts mushrooms, and you can be sweat-free on the couch while you're learning about that.
Yes. Mm-hmm. 100% in on all of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need to be outside to
And if someone near you gets heat stroke, then it's time to go home.
Time to pull the plug. Mm-hmm. A heat stroke is a definite deal breaker.
You know where another thing that causes heat stroke? Parades.
Yes.
This is another summer activity.
It is. A lot of activities in the summer involve a parade.
And if we recall, Mason gave his hot take on parades an episode or 2 ago where it was, I don't get it or I don't like it.
I don't understand it.
I don't understand it.
He said, is that where people walk in front of you?
Yes.
And I said, yeah. And he said, I don't understand it and I don't want to go.
Like, I get it, buddy. I don't either.
Yeah. That's where I'm at. I mean,
So yeah, my question is, what do you think about parades? Do you love them, hate them? What's a major parade experience of yours?
I don't enjoy them. I'm in the Mason category. I hate parades because I don't understand the purpose. I'm just walked. It's hot always.
And you get sunburned.
Yes. It's always random people walking.
It's always a corporation these days.
Yes. A corporation. A lot of times it's politicians or like the city council people for that town. You maybe have a dance troupe in there. Mm-hmm. You got the guys in the cars with the hats, the Shriners.
Yes.
And they try and tell you that they're throwing candy, but it's like Tootsie Rolls or like bad, not
it's
good
the
candy.
Stuff no one wants.
Right. Because, again, it's hot. So you're not getting a Butterfinger bar because that's melting. Mm-hmm. You're getting subpar peppermints. So, no, I'm not down for that.
You're getting sweet tarts. So many rolls of sweet tarts.
So many, yeah.
Oh.
So many.
Yeah.
And I don't like it in that sense. And I also don't like it because I'm kind of in Mason's boat. Logically, it doesn't make sense to me.
No.
I don't understand what's happening.
That's a good point. I do wonder, like, how parades, what they were intended to be, and how we've co-opted that.
Can you imagine the first parade? The people
are like, what is happening?
Unilaterally decided to walk down the street, and everyone's
was
just like,
watching. Oh, okay, okay.
Oh, he's throwing. Oh, he threw candy. That's new. Okay.
I guess I'll do this again next year.
Yeah. Neighbor really took it to the extreme. Like, how did everyone just decide, oh, you know what? I'm going to join in.
Yeah.
I'm going to get in on this.
It's a great point.
How
did someone decide that to get the best spot at a parade, you got to stake out your spot the night before?
Days before, in some cases.
And that a parade is worth that.
It's not.
It's not.
But I'm also back on the first parade. How did you get anyone to join you? Think about that.
Listen, here's what we're going to do. Yes. We're going to just walk down the street and people are going to clap for us.
Yeah. Think about right now. A random float goes down your street. Is there any part of you who says, yes, I'm on that? I'm going to run out in the street and participate.
No. My instinct says I got to take a video of that from my house.
Exactly.
Because I don't know what the hell's going on there. I don't know what's coming next.
Mm-mm. It feels like it was just the first committee that did a parade was like a committee of 6-year-olds. That was like, hey, I have a great idea. Let's block off the road. We're going to make a float with like a bunch of streamers. We're not sure what it's going to be. That's not really important.
But we're going to do a lot of paper mache. It's going to be fine.
Yes. What's important is that we all walk in it and we all throw candy at people that we see on the sides. Let's do it. We're in. So obviously,
Well, yeah, okay, so you hate parades.
I hate 'em.
I'm there with you.
yeah.
If you're feeling festive but you hate parades, what would you recommend?
Well, I'll tell you.
Okay.
The first book I would recommend, because to me, a parade, you're trying to get this sense of community, or it has
Yeah.
this kind of small town feel sometimes. So I would recommend Water by Jennifer Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
We recommended
this was a
in
long
episode
time ago.
9.
Episode 9, when I
Episode
revealed
9.
my David Bowie obsession
Yes.
to the world.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was that blessed
It's that
episode.
one.
You should really go back and listen
Yeah.
if you haven't heard it, listeners. So this is kind of a book with a hometown story with a message about doing something that actually makes a difference in your community.
That's fantastic, yeah.
As opposed to just marching in the streets.
Yeah, that's
because we're
not
not
doing
getting
nothing.
anything accomplished. It'll also make you think about your own community and what role you can have in shaping what the future looks like. And if a parade's supposed to be kind of a celebration of that,
Yeah.
like if you read a book and you get inspired, you're going to love this book. It's, based on journalists digging in deep about water and the source of water and how we're treating our water. And if that sounds boring, I should
It's
add,
not.
no, that the author herself often says it's also that with sex.
Yep, lots of
So
sex.
Get in there. You're going to like it. And you're going to be happy because you did not take a Tootsie Roll to the dome.
You don't know where that Tootsie Roll's been.
No. Mm-mm. My second choice, American Fire. Love, Arson, and Life in a Vanishing Land by Monica Hesse. I recommended this in 42. This also has a small town feel.
Okay, yeah.
In a different way.
Yeah.
They were trying to solve a 5-month arson spree in their little town that was taxing the firefighters, that had the whole town kind of at each other about who was
right.
doing it. And a journalist dug in, went there, figured it out. And honestly, what's more festive than a fire?
I mean, it's true. If we think about the 4th of July, we have a parade and then we have fireworks.
Yeah. So I'm in no way suggesting arson, but I'm just saying that, I would watch that before I would watch a parade.
Yeah. Well, gosh, yeah.
But it also, there is also a redeeming part in this book that, the community coming together and them being bothered by how much work this was causing everyone was actually what they were the most concerned about, which was kind of refreshing as a community, that they were like, hey, we're trying to all take care of each other here and we're burning down our resources. What's happening? So they kind of all banded together, and that's better than a parade.
It sure is.
Yeah.
Because a parade is sort of a forced coming together that just feels fake.
Right?
Right.
Also, I do not like a clown just coming up on me.
Oh, God, no.
No, I don't.
I don't like really anyone just coming up on me, but especially if you've got some weird clown makeup shit going on. I
Yeah.
don't want it.
No.
I don't want it.
It's crossing my boundaries.
Yes.
Which brings me to neighbors.
Oh, gosh, neighbors.
How would you define good boundaries for neighbors?
Well, first off, let me tell you that I generally just keep to myself.
Yes. Okay.
I lived in condos and apartments for 20 years. And there you don't talk much to your neighbors because if they're assholes, you're going to be constantly dodging them in the hallway. So it just makes better sense to just be like, all right, we're just going to nod to each other. We're not going to become friends.
Okay.
Okay. And also in apartment buildings, I've had my mail stolen. I've had my laundry stolen. I've had rental people come in while I'm still in bed. It's a weird situation. You're in a building and you're sort of on top of each other and the
Yeah.
boundaries are just crossed on the regular and I hate it.
Yeah.
That said, I've also been a bad neighbor.
Okay.
Because there was one apartment that I had in my late 20s where we had a house party and we had a live musician there
Oh.
in the apartment, surrounded by other apartments. And the Chicago police came, as they rightly should have. I made a lot of decisions fueled by peer pressure and booze. So
That'll happen.
yeah. Now I'm in a house. People in the neighborhood, they wave. They point things out like, hey, that tree is going to fall. Like, they're helpful. And I don't understand it. And I'm suspicious of it. I don't. And maybe that's just my outlook on life and people in general.
That's fair, though.
Coming to bear. So, yeah, I think that generally my boundaries are stay the fuck away from me. But what I found living in a house is when people don't do that, it's actually for an okay reason, which is weird.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
That is unnerving a little bit
Yeah.
to discover that. So if you're feeling this way and you need an excuse to not be neighborly,
Oh, yeah. To be a curmudgeon
to be a curmudgeon.
like me,
Yes.
then I got a couple books for you.
Okay, good.
One is Pew by Catherine Lacey. And we talked about this in episode 76, where we were talking about common people. And I like this one because it kind of shows how neighborliness can really just mean nosiness.
Yeah.
And a little bit of hypocrisy. Because everyone in this town where this strange person shows up and no one knows them and no one knows even if they're a man or a woman, and they kind of are freaking out about that lack of ability to categorize this person. They all pride themselves on being good neighbors and good Christians and good community, and it's not true. And you see that throughout. You see that sort of facade of neighborliness really torn down, which is pretty gratifying, pretty great.
Yeah, I like that.
Also, the book called Severance by Ling Ma. This was way back in episode 10, where we talked about corporate life horrors. I believe that was called Synergy something.
And Thought Showers.
And Thought Showers,
Yeah.
yes. This was where the main character, worked in an office which was soul crushing. And then there was a pandemic. And this was before the pandemic came to be part of our reality.
Right?
Now, this one, it became a dystopian novel of survival, and it reminds you that when shit goes down, other people may not be safe. So, people even that are neighbors in the apocalypse, maybe they're crossing boundaries, and you don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a life lesson of 2020 in this summer as well.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree, actually.
Yeah. So if we're thinking about boundaries, thinking about summer, there's so many times when our boundaries are crossed in the summer because we're told our bodies have to look a certain way. We have to have a beach body. We have to have a summer ready body. People talking about your body that have no business talking about your body. So when was the first time you heard the phrase beach body, and how do you feel about that?
First of all, guess what my beach body is?
What is it?
My body.
Exactly.
It's just my body.
Just
it's
my body.
beach ready because I decided it's beach ready. Just
Yes.
like I may decide later it's coffee ready. So I'll go into a coffee shop. Or I might decide it's pizza ready and I go out for a pizza. Or
Yeah.
I might decide that it's sitting outside reading a book ready.
Yeah.
My body's my body. It just goes where I go.
Exactly.
That's the deal. So there's that. I was really trying to think of the first time I heard the phrase beach body.
I couldn't think of it
It's
either.
so ingrained.
It is.
I can't think of the first time. I got to imagine it was at least middle school.
And it was probably a women's magazine.
Correct. That's what I was thinking.
Yep.
It had to be a magazine. It was about beach body. But I remember that feeling. And it's so ingrained that I can sometimes almost elicit that feeling in the spring where you're like, oh, gosh. Especially
like,
here in
oh,
Iowa, where in winter you
yes.
tend to be inside more. And, you have this feeling like, oh, I've put on winter weight. Now I have to get it off. No.
No, you don't.
No. You don't. There's no such thing as a beach body.
No, there is not.
Also, very presumptuous that you think I want to go to a beach.
And also, we live in a landlocked state.
Yes.
There are no beaches.
Yes.
And yeah, why would you want to go to a beach? Gross.
I don't. I have
I
no
learned that
desire.
there was sand fleas the other day. Sand fleas. And then I realized nowhere is safe from the grossness of nature.
Correct. Yes. I can be in awe of it when I watch, the Planet Channel. I couldn't think of what it was called. The Planet Channel is not accurate, but you got where I was going with it, I think.
I get where you're going with
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I can be in awe of it, but I do not need to experience it firsthand.
So I know that, you and I, especially over the last couple of years, have done a lot of reading, and that has changed our views on our bodies in a lot of ways and helped us recognize there is no such thing as a beach body.
Correct.
That kind of stuff. But we've also, you and I have talked personally about all the things that we've learned still sometimes crop up in us.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
if you are getting sucked into the idea that there's such a thing as a beach body, what would you recommend to read, Erin?
Well, first, I would recommend 13 Ways of Looking at a Fat Girl by Mona Wad. We did this in episode 15, so a while ago. But it's 13 vignettes, short stories that are going to remind you that body neutrality is important.
Yeah.
It's sustainable. And it's more realistic than only eating kale. Or whatever other weird thing you're being convinced
Moon
to do.
juice, don't eat it.
To get your beach body, which
Yeah.
isn't going to happen because there's no such thing as a beach body. Your body's just your body. So I think that that's a great example. We talked a lot about that in episode 15
Yeah.
about the idea of how much mental space gets taken up by worrying about, say, calories or macronutrients,
You're right.
excuse me. any of that, the exercise routines, you know, this sort of obsessiveness that then takes up all that room
That
so
you
that
could
you could use for something else. That you could use for something else. Which brings me to the second pick, which we've both read, and actually I think you recommended this in episode 15, Dietland.
Oh, goddamn!
What a just
A mind-blowing and
Yes.
a knock your socks off kind of pick.
It is. It's so good. It's an explosive story.
Yeah.
And to me, that one really hits on that last part, which is making room in your life for the stuff you want to do. Whether that's writing, a career, family, hobby, whatever it is that you want to have the time to do, that's what you should be focused on, not a beach body, not calories, not an exercise routine, because that's all trickery. That's what the collective society wants you to spend time on, because then you might not be successful. It's all designed to keep you small in more ways than one.
Especially you women. Because
Yes.
if you start thinking too much about other things, you'll realize how messed up our society is towards women.
Absolutely.
I also saw something on Instagram the other day that was very thought-provoking. It was talking about like, hey, we all have feet. And we don't try to change the size of our feet. If a shoe doesn't fit, we don't blame we don't blame ourselves. We blame the shoe.
Right.
And we don't then try to cut off a toe to fit. I mean, you know, maybe some people do it.
No,
You don't
yeah,
do that.
it's a good
So it's the
point.
same thing with your body. Like if certain clothes don't fit or a swimsuit doesn't fit or doesn't feel good, don't blame yourself. Blame those clothes. Like
Yeah.
your body is your body.
Find the thing that does feel good and fits. Just like with shoes. Like you said, if you put on a pair and it doesn't fit, you're going to go up a size if that's really what you want. Or you're going to find a different shoe that fits better. And that's great.
And that's great.
You don't. No aspirational clothes here.
No.
You get clothes that fit, that you love, that make you feel good.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
And if you're not wanting to wear a bra like I am these days, then don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. But for the love of God, do not buy into the Beachbody BS.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Okay.
Okay. What you got
This
next? Erin?
brings me
Okay.
to an obsession that you and I kind of both shared a little bit.
Once you figured out what it was.
Once
Yes.
I figured out what it was. Yes, yes. And there was a few that have happened during the pandemic, shows that kind of took over and everybody was
Yes.
talking about.
Yeah.
So have you ever watched a TV show or movie and thought that maybe you should have taken a different career path? Or has a TV show or movie ever inspired you to do something?
Well, we did talk last week about how sometimes I see women kicking ass. And I'm like, ooh, I'm going to take kickboxing.
Yes, yes.
Whatever. And then I cancel the day of. So
Right.
there's that. There's also like, I think I always sort of knew I wanted to write because I love to read. And I
Yes.
thought that I wanted to do that. But I think that growing up, especially like shows and movies did a sort of disservice there because it painted writers as like these independently wealthy in these cottages by the beach and they just get to
Yeah.
sit around all day and they have free time galore and they can spend their days talking about art.
Yeah.
And that's not how it works.
No.
So that was a disservice. Now that said, I think there's so many times I'll watch something and fall into that trap where like I'm watching someone create a painting or pottery or something like, oh my God, I want to do that.
Yes.
No skill whatsoever. No way to make money with that. So I think that we often can fall into that idea of like a TV show or a movie painting a certain profession in a certain way.
Yeah.
I think that happens a lot with detective shows.
It does.
Like we watch a detective show and we're like, God damn, I am so smart because I figured this out.
Yeah.
I could be a detective.
I could do this.
That's not probably going to happen.
No.
Like, for example, when we watched Mayor of Easttown, which is the show that once you figured out it wasn't about horses that you could get into.
Or old timey,
Or old time.
to quote my exact awesome word. Yeah, so maybe you've had that and you
Yeah.
watched Mayor of Easttown and then you found out that you actually can't be
You
a
can't
detective.
just be a detective. Yeah, which is a bummer.
It is, but you have some picks that might get us through that.
I sure do. Because one good fun thing about reading is you can solve mysteries all
All
the time.
day.
For example, the book When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. And this came from episode 82, which was titled I Wish. And this is just a killer mystery One that I think keeps us reader detectives, amateur detectives going, because you're trying to figure out. And then it goes in all these crazy directions that even if you're not anticipating where it goes, it's so satisfying to watch where it goes.
Yeah.
I think that's the hallmark of a good mystery. Another one is The Heavens by Sandra Newman.
Ooh.
This one came from episode 61 about changes. And this was such an interesting and beautiful story with this incredibly high concept where this woman is dreaming, and in her dream life, she's actually going back in time into Shakespearean England. And then she's finding that, the things that she's doing in her dreams, maybe not dreams, are affecting the world that she's living in when she wakes up. So each chapter feels like a sort of puzzle, and you have to puzzle out like, wait, what happened? What did she do that caused this? And how is this different from the world she was in yesterday? It's so intricate. It's so beautifully written, and it's a very satisfying read.
Oh, see, that's great.
Right?
Now you can do that and you don't have to go to the police academy.
No, and you don't have to, go through all the terrible things that Mayor of Easttown had to go through.
Yeah, that was tragic in a lot of ways. Yeah, very much so.
So you're watching Mayor of Easttown. It feels very timely.
It does.
Feels like, it's ripped from the headlines.
Yeah.
As you often hear. Mm-hmm. And that brings me to news. Mm-hmm. And good God, news is depressing as hell.
It is. It is.
I want to ask you, Erin.
Yeah.
And I know some of the answer to this. Mm-hmm. But how much news do you consume? Mm-hmm. And also, do you have a favorite person that gives you news?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I've had to cut back on the news I consume.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is very similar. We've heard from other people in the pandemic that right out of the gate, consuming too much, it overwhelming. I could feel myself shutting down in lots of weird ways because it just felt too scary. So I am the type of person that really prefers to just read my news. So I can pick the article,
Yep.
I can kind of skim it, I can get the points. My husband, however, is an avid news watcher, so it's on a lot. So I do catch a lot of news, and I would like to change that, but
Yeah,
I don't see that
sounds
happening.
very stressful, and I would hate that.
It is very stressful.
Yeah.
But there is one person that I always like to give me my news, and that is Lester Holt.
Oh.
I trust him implicitly.
Seems like a soothing kind of
He does.
voice.
He has a very
And-
soothing voice. So he does the national news, right? Usually before the local news. It's usually right around the time we're having dinner or I'm feeding the kids. And I like it. It's a half hour of the biggest headlines. He's very good and he's very calm. And when it's not him, I get a little anxious. And so that's why I know that Lester's the guy to do the job.
Do you think, when Lester's telling you the news, you don't feel like the world's going to explode as much?
Yes, I feel like for some reason Lester seems calm. I've never seen him flustered, so I don't know where I got that idea. But he seems calm. It's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
He's out doing the work.
Yeah.
He's doing the work. I will tell you that I'm so invested in Lester Holt that for Father's Day, they did a special thing where they had a bunch of the male fathers that are on the staff write letters to either their kids, and he wrote them to his grandkids because he's older. Wow. And he read part of the letter, and I cried.
Oh my goodness!
I cried. But Lester Holt got a little choked up, so it felt appropriate.
Aww.
I take my cues from Lester.
Man, I don't watch any news, but that makes me feel a little better about news.
Yeah. I mean, it's not bad coming from him.
Right.
I don't recommend a steady diet, but
So let's say you are not watching Lester Holt. You're watching news, or you're getting too much news. You're just overdosing on news, and you feel like the world might explode, which is a valid feeling. What do you think someone should read, Erin?
Well, you have two choices.
Okay.
This is the way I look at this one.
Okay.
You can either embrace the terrible or you can turn from it. So my first pick, you're going to embrace some terrible. Okay? That Unspeakable Acts, which was curated and edited by Sarah Weinman.
Gosh, yeah.
Recommended this in episode 79. So this is some true crime essays in writing that she curated. She also wrote some in there about all different aspects of this genre, about the real people that have lived different crimes, about how investigations have changed, where we got the idea. So I think that this is a good way to interact with the news in a thoughtful way.
Yeah.
In a way that doesn't feel overwhelming, feels interesting, and it also helps you examine your role as a consumer. Where are pitfalls in our society that we're shoving news into that maybe we're not actually getting the full story, or maybe it needs to be fleshed out more. I feel like it kind of made you look at some of those with a different lens. So that's one option. You could also go the other way and say, no, I need a lighter side. And in that case, I would suggest Solutions and Other Problems by Allie Brosh.
Wow. Yep.
So this episode 72, this book is going to tell you that everything is terrible, but it's also funny.
It's funny as hell.
Everything's terrible and funny. And she offers no real solutions. You're just dealing with difficult issues in a different way. It's a graphic memoir that highlights the importance of humor. And it makes you feel better, even though we're not solving anything.
Right.
You still have the same issues when you're done, but you feel like someone's there with you.
It. Like Lester Holt sat there and read it with you.
Yes, absolutely. And he chuckled a lot.
And then he pointed out certain things and he was like, look at that. That's pretty funny.
That's funny. I don't really picture Lester Holt like guffawing.
No.
I think he gets a good chuckle once in a while, but.
So I want to know where Lester Holt is on the scale of like, so Keith Morrison is over here on the right.
Yeah. And Lester works with Keith Morrison because Lester does all the intros to Datelines.
Okay.
He does all of them.
Okay.
I still haven't done a deep dive to know if he records a bunch of them at once because he's always in the same suit.
I bet he does.
Yeah.
Just knocks him right out.
Just knocks him out and then he's just off for the rest of the year.
So you have a Keith Morrison pop socket on your phone.
I do.
Do we need to get a Lester Holt one?
I don't know because Lester has kind of like a place of importance. Like it's kind of like a special, like I watch it on the news. It's not really like a fan.
Sure. Okay.
Like
it's a different sort of.
Different love. Because I don't know that I would be as excited to meet Lester Holt as I would be Keith Morrison.
That's a good point. Yeah. I can see it from everything you said. Again, I've never seen either of these guys do their thing. But from what you've said, from how you've described your love of Keith Morrison versus Lester Holt, I can get that.
It's just two different things. Yeah. I feel like Lester Holt is just really good at his job. And Keith Morrison just feels like there's a character there I'd like to get to know. So that maybe that's the difference.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Okay.
I'm not saying that Lester Holt, and he might be. I'm sorry if anyone's friends with Lester Holt. He just doesn't seem like a guy that you're going to go out for a beer and it's going to be like hilarious or a good time.
That's a good point. Yeah.
He's kind of the guy, but he's the guy you want to hear bad news from.
You know, I remember maybe my grandparents or even my dad talking about like watching Walter Cronkite, and it feels like maybe people are getting a similar vibe from Lester Holt, where it's like, oh, we're getting some bad news, but we're feeling okay about it.
But Lester's delivering it.
Yep.
Steady and calm.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay.
I mean, I think that's, it's the best way to take it.
Another way to deal is to eat your feelings.
Right. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Another really big pandemic thing that happened was the people trying food delivery services that maybe hadn't done that before. Because A, you need to eat your feelings, and B, people. Why go out? And pandemic.
And all of those. Yeah. All of those things. Yeah.
So you've tried some food delivery services, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yes. We're all on that. So what would you say are the best parts and the worst parts of food delivery?
So I was doing food delivery back in Chicago before all the apps, before all of
what?
This. Yes. But I discovered like it was a lot of like online delivering.
Okay.
And when I discovered that, when I didn't have to talk to people, that was just it was glorious.
Yeah.
Then when apps started coming out, I was like, this is even better. Because when you have the apps and you have credit payments, you don't have to scrounge for cash.
Yeah.
You can just send fake money over the wires to this mythical restaurant that will then bring you food. And also I love that apps during the pandemic made no contact delivery.
Yes.
So they just leave the food. You don't have to even say anything to the person. Boom. Done. Safe transaction. No need to make small talk. My favorite thing.
That's true.
I like my food, Erin. I like my food without talking to people.
Without talking to people.
So I am a pioneer in this area.
You are. You are. But for some people, this is the first time.
Yeah.
And there's one weird part of a food delivery service is that you can end up getting the same person. Like, particularly if you live in a smaller area, you might be getting the same person that's delivering food a lot. And that's a judgment I don't need.
It is a judgment. And also, like, some people have weird fantasies about, like, delivery drivers come and deliver their food. And then I'm like, that doesn't play any role whatsoever.
No, those two things do not go
That
together.
is a pornographic fantasy.
Yes, not a real
That would
thing.
be terrible in real life.
No.
Can you imagine? That person would smell like food.
A lot of food.
A lot of food. Like,
And
greasy food.
I just don't want the two interactions mixed.
No, I want my boundaries clear, Erin.
Yes, this is eating time. I'm not interested in sexy time at the moment. Just in eating time.
Just in eating time.
Yeah.
And also, like, there's a, you bring me food, I got to eat it while it's still hot.
Yeah,
I don't have
don't
time
to
to, like,
this.
dilly-dally.
No.
God.
So maybe you've sort of developed a weird relationship with your food delivery
one
driver.
of judgment, one of weird fantasies.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Whatever that is. And you're still not in the dating world. This is not a thing you're going to do.
Gross.
What do you read while you're eating your hot food?
I got a couple hot picks for you.
Good.
Okay. One goes all the way back to episode 2, Erin.
Oh my
on
gosh.
Crazy Women. It's
Oh.
I Love Dick by Chris Krause. And I picked it because the main character has this insane, like, fantasy about this guy that she sort of knows, and then follows that fantasy to just insane conclusions. And it reinforces that fantasy is always better than reality. Reality is going to disappoint you.
Good point. Yeah.
So you got a weird fantasy about that delivery driver? Don't do it.
Not going to work. Not going to work.
And then you'd never be able to eat food from there again. You'd never be able to order from there again.
Yeah.
That's no good.
Don't take out a whole food group.
Right. My second pick is a more recent one from episode 89. It's called A Certain Hunger by Chelsea G. Summers.
Yes.
Because especially if you don't want to date, this will reinforce that, because dating ends up in cannibalism. And that's not a great place to end up. So, you know, it's reinforcing, hey, you don't feel like it? Don't do it.
Don't do it. Stick
Don't
to your
do
boundaries.
it.
They're good. They're there for a reason. Yes.
And you can make your own food at home? I don't know.
You mean like as a cannibal? Is that what you're saying? Or did I take that wrong?
I was trying to get back to our main theme. I was like, I don't know where to go, so I'm going to say that.
I know you were
I'm not encouraging our listeners to turn cannibal.
I didn't know for a second, but that's all right.
No,
I was going to follow you. I was going to follow you.
And on the thought of cannibalism, let's talk about family reunions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cannibal. Because if there's going to be one, it's at your family reunion.
We've been talking about a lot of summer stuff, things that we hate. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about family reunions, Erin?
You know, honestly, I'm conflicted. I know this might surprise some people. I know a lot of people dread them, and I can understand that. There are some parts of it I like if it's an opportunity to see relatives that you enjoy that you don't normally see. Also, we all know that I, am rife for some weird happenings, and that's a great place to see some weird things go down.
That's an excellent point.
So if you can swallow it for a day and just really dive in, I think
just
there's
go in
nuggets.
with the perspective of, I'm going to get some stories out of this.
Yes, I'm going to get some stories. Just keep your eyes open. Try not to be annoyed by the things that annoy you, and just sort of
That's an excellent way
take
of
what you
doing
can
it.
get out of it. Yeah.
Like you're a journalist going to cover
Yes.
stories.
Yes. Another option that I feel like, which these reading picks might help, is like you can just take your own stories that aren't true. Because sometimes what you don't feel good about at a family reunion is like, I don't really want to talk about this or that in my life. And you
true.
always end up with that one relative that asks that exact question. Like,
Every
I don't want to
time.
talk about this right now.
Yes.
Every time. Just rubbing that wound.
Right.
So this is where I say you read some books and you come prepared with some stories that aren't yours. But you pass them off as yours.
Yes.
So some places you could take inspiration. Followers by Megan Angelo from episode 91. So this is a really deep look at what makes family your actual family. There's some great lessons on forgiveness. There's also reality TV star in there. There's some crazy stuff that happens in that book, but that you could kind of pass off as your own.
That's an excellent idea.
So there's that.
Yeah.
And you might hear some weird stories at family reunions, but at least you don't have to explain why you're a reality TV star, which they do in that book. Just saying. Also, you could kind of take it as like if the family reunion's going bad, you could think back to that book and think, well, at least we haven't lived through the technology apocalypse yet. At least we have that coming. And my other pick harkens back to episode 17.
Ooh.
Miracle Creek by Angie Kim.
Oh my goodness. Blast from the past.
Yes. But this one to me is like kind of a reminder of how important family is.
Yes.
And how you can want the best for them, but you really can't do that unless you communicate with them. The only way to get the answer of what's best for someone is to ask them. Have an open dialogue.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good example that there's a reminder that there is a lot of stories in the world, in our community, and in our family that we don't know sometimes. The best stories, I feel like, sometimes come out at family reunions.
Oh,
the
God,
things
yeah.
that you never knew.
Yes.
And I think that this book encompasses that perfectly. It's a whole bunch of stories that they weren't talking to each other. They had no idea what everybody else was encountering and experiencing.
I really love the idea of a family reunion where everyone just goes with like the idea of like, I'm just going to be honest about everything.
Yeah.
Can you imagine some of the things that would come out?
I can't imagine there'd ever be another family reunion.
So you'd have to make it really good. Just come with all your worst humiliations or made up stories.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's a good way to feel comfortable. Mm-hmm.
All right. I've never had a family reunion except for
Really?
just like, holiday gatherings
Okay.
of like extended family and stuff.
But never like we're all going to everybody's coming and we're having like a 3-day picnic.
No. Do you have family reunions?
We used to, on one side of my family, have them like once a year. And I think some part of it, they might still have like an extended one. But I remember when we were younger, it was fun because there was other people our age that we never got to see. And they'd have like different stuff outside. And I don't know, there was some part of it that was enjoyable because I don't remember thinking, oh no, like this is going to go bad.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it was, is that I sort of enjoy moments where you find out stuff you didn't know.
For sure.
Or,
Yeah.
people share things that you just never thought that they would. And I don't hate that. Plus, it's always good. It's like someone's always going to fall down.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody's always going to do something weird with a food item that you've never seen before. Like, what is that? What isn't that salad? Is that a salad? Are you sure? Can that be called a salad? At a family reunion, it can. Mm-hmm. So, it's always going to be probably like in a weird church basement, which is, that part's not great, but
Yeah.
more stories again.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Maybe I've been missing out.
Yeah.
Family reunions.
I don't, I wouldn't step on the gas, but maybe just read these picks.
Okay, I'll read those instead.
Yeah.
Wow. These were 8 summer situations.
Summer situations. So many summer situations.
And I think we gave you some good ways to deal with it.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope it's clear that our answer for dealing with anything is really just read books. Just opt out and read a book.
Listen, we
That's
stay
my
on
best
message.
advice.
We stay on message, and that is, read a damn book.
It's too hot. It's
Just
too
read
cold.
a book.
Yeah, you need sunscreen, so just read a book. Don't put that stuff on. You got to spray yourself with bug spray? Nope.
Ugh.
Read a book.
Gross. Read a book instead.
Read a book.
Yeah.
Tempted to go to a parade? Don't.
Don't do it.
Read a book.
Yeah.
Excited about your delivery driver? Not okay. Read a book. Well, the good news is we'll be back next week. And until then,
Happy reading.